low, but the others in the room are louder.
Looks like you're live, Bob.
Yeah, now we're live. I don't know what was going on there, but anyway, here we are.
Feel bad.
And people are going to find this, otherwise I'm going to start posting it around. But in any event, it'll be recorded. So if nothing else will be recorded. So this is Bob Sorrentino with Michael Cavalieri from our Roots and Reflections podcast, and we're going to be talking about Sicily today. So welcome, guys. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Bob.
And we have people from I guess probably about 9 time zones or something like that. So
Gene's still struggling to get in here. We have Gene Benfanti and Carlo Treviso trying to get on our podcast. Unfortunately, we can't get them in, so maybe they'll pop in a second. Jerry, you disappeared. Where are you?
I'm here. You see me?
Yes, now I do. Who's the dark one here? To the right, Bob, of you.
No, I think that's just kind of the way that Jerry's coming in.
I see.
So, Michael, I'm gonna let you do some of the questioning while I try and get the rest of the people in and find out what's going on with this live stream. All right.
Well, let's first have everybody say hello and then give me where their family roots are from and who they are and so let's start with Francesca and Manuele.
Hi, my name is Francesca Latorre, and our family is in Gela, Sicily, which is on the southwest, I'd say southwest in Sicily. My father was born there and came to the U.S. as an adult. This is my brother, Manuele.
Manuele.
Ciao, everyone. Nice to see everyone. Good to see you again, Michael.
I love you, buddy.
Yeah,
Manuele.
so we're out here. We're outside of us. I live outside of San Francisco, but out here we have a vibrant Italian community. As you know, we had you up here. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're very glad to be on your show. Thank you.
Well, why don't you brag about yourself? Because I can brag about you if you want. But Manny's go ahead, Manny. Yeah, tell them what you do over there.
We have an Italian athletic club that's 107 years old, right in the heart of San Francisco. Best neighborhood in the city by far, and we're just about almost at 1,000 members. And vibrant club. We're open daily. We have events all the time, and we have, of course, our sports teams like our calcio team won the championship again. So I gotta plug those guys.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
And your position, sir?
I'm the president of the club.
Wow.
I'm on my second term there.
You're the boss. You're the boss. I answered to you when I came to San Francisco. You were the man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything you did for me, by the way. My film, Ritornato and La Porta, actually La Porta dell'Inferno was up there. And Manuel, you just handled everything with grace and dignity and respect. And I really appreciate you very much, sir. What you do for our culture, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir.
Jerry, what do we got?
So my name is Girolamo Jerry Taverna. My father is from Riesi, Sicily. My grandfather was a child worker in the sulfur mines, Sicily. And my mother, like Michael, my mother is from a whole different part of Italy. She's from Monopoli, which is just south of Bari. So I grew up kind of taking in both of those dialects. And so when I speak Italian, it's barely understandable.
Well, I can tell you a little bit about Jerry, a little bit since he brought me to Boston to show my film. Jerry, what's the society? Is it the St. Joseph Society you're part of now, or?
Yeah, that's correct. Long time society, and it came directly from. It was founded actually 100 years ago. We're organizing a feast for the 100th anniversary this coming July.
Wow. And you do so much for that culture, and I really appreciate you and what your passion for our Sicilian culture, Italian culture, because like Manuel and Francesca, you were so generous with your time and with me and really, really helped me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here. We'll talk about your story in a little bit. Francesco, what do we got?
Ciao, Michael.
Ciao, Francesco.
I am Francesco Curione. I live in Sicily, the best island in the world.
Yes, 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 yes.
My town is called Collesano. Is 10 minutes far from Cefalù, 40 minutes far from Palermo, and I'm so proud to be Sicilian. I am a service provider. I help American to become Italian. I do this with passion, and I like to say most of my clients became my friend because they fall in love with this beautiful island. Sicily
Yes.
is the best place in the world.
Yes, yes, it's tremendous. So basically, you help people find their roots, or you help them find their family history, and you help them get citizenship.
Exactly, it's a mix between genealogy and citizenship because there is a law that gives the possibility that the people who have roots from Italy to apply in the consulate or here and get an Italian passport.
Wow,
So,
wow.
yes. If you have an ancestor who born here and emigrated to USA and never naturalized, never became American citizen, or became American citizen after the son born, you have the right to get a passport and become Italian like me with my same right. It is very, very good.
But Francesco, did they change the laws recently? I was reading some other stuff. Is there new laws based on citizenship?
Yes, unfortunately, yes. There is a new law that was approved just 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, the 3 of October. That is not really a new law, if we need to be specific. It's an interpretation of the law.
I
It's
see.
called minor issue.
Okay.
So, new interpretation said that if your ancestor naturalized when the child was a minor, also if the child born before the naturalization is still considered naturalized like the father. So he lost the right to become American citizen. Of course,
Wow.
this is very hard for all the people who are applying right now. But again, it's still a gray zone situation. The consulate don't know or proceed down in Italy because this is something that can happen sometime when the Supreme Court take a decision. Right now, it's just a decision, but maybe can change. So finger crossed because you American deserve to become Italian.
Right. Bob, Jean says she's backstage, by the way. Bob.
I know, but I don't see them. I asked them both to go out and try and come back again.
There's some reverb here on the back of this. I don't know what that is. So whoever has that, please take it off. I want everybody to drive me crazy, whatever that is.
Yeah, so I think if you're not talking, go on mute. That'll help.
So basically, Jerry, I want to start with Jerry. Jerry, tell me a little bit about your grandfather and your father and what they did and how we met and the history a little bit.
So, I guess briefly, this is something that's always been ingrained in our family history. My grandparents on my father's side came here in the late 50s. And, we always heard the stories growing up of how my dad would have been about 4 or 5 years old during the bombings of Sicily. And he had pretty vivid memories of all those times, But my grandmother, really, much like most stories like this, a very strong woman. She had stories of being alone with, I think, 3 young boys and having to sell wine and bread at night to the American soldiers. In a kind of an exchange for protection and, having them keep an eye on the house for and all that kind of stuff. So, but anyways, they came here in the late 50s. And by then my grandfather was, pretty well worn from his life inside the mines. I just sent Bob a picture I found recently in my grandmother's house. And he would have been 15 at the time, all dressed up with some young boys, and included in the picture, obviously working in the mines.
Carusi, eh?
Yep. And my dad was very passionate about, it's funny, and that's the reason I think I got hooked, is he had books all over the house, and he was constantly talking about these stories and showing me the books and explaining some of that stuff to me. So that's kind of how I always had that hook. I think everyone gets that. Really, the passion comes in when you get later in life, and that's where I am. And I had come across your movie, the first one, Ritornato, and we rented it. We watched it in my dad's backyard under the grapevine and all that. And then since then, you had made the second movie, so that's when we kind of, we hooked up. I reached out to you, and we kind of started the coordination process to get it shown down in Boston's North End. And what was really cool was we showed it in the basement of St. Leonard's Church, which is a 150-year-old church, I believe, built by the immigrants of, in large part, Sicily, who were denied entry into a lot of those churches in Boston.
Wow.
They had no place to worship, so they built their own church.
Wow. Wow. Well, you know what? I have much respect for you, your family, as you know, the film that we did and what those men and boys went through. So they'll always be superheroes to me. And I always will carry a piece of my heart for your family with that. And just, it's incredible. The resiliency of those men and just Sicilian people and Sicilian men and women in general, just very special. But,
the last thing I'll leave you with real quick is my dad had friends all from the same hometown in South Boston. They landed in South Boston, which, if you don't know South Boston, it's a very heavily Irish community, like very, very insular. And so in the late 50s, early 60s, strewn throughout that area was all these, and imagine the foods they were cooking, right? Because I saw it all. So anyways, but one of the families had a really, tragic story in that their grandfather was actually killed in one of the explosions over there. That was always in the family lore, and again, it's documented in these books as well. So.
Sure. Tragic. Yeah. Carlo, we got you. Gene. Holy smokes, Gene Benfanti, Carlo Treviso, welcome to Sicily.
Thank
you. Oh,
hey, I know him.
Gene, so Carl, give me a second. I want to introduce Gene Benfanti, who is in Scranton, Pennsylvania, only because I'm going to connect you with Jerry. Gene's family is also part of the Sulphur Mines and part of that story. So, Gene, just give yourself an introduction and a little bit about your family. And I love you, by the way.
Thanks. Well, I know 007. I can see 007 right there. I was born and raised in Lackawanna County, Dunmore, Scranton, Pittston, right in the heart of anthracite coal mine. That's the place. Sicilian, one half, Avigliano, Potenza, Basilicata, the other half. And the town that I grew up in had like basically 3 camps from Italy. It was Sicily, with San Cataldo and Serra di Falco, and it was Gubbio, and it was the other Potenza. So it was just Italians everywhere.
Right.
I just recently found out that my ancestors, not only were they coal miners, but they started in the sulfur mines of Sicily. I was shocked. I had no idea that some of them actually worked the mines on both continents. So it was like, it blew my mind. But so learning about the sulfur mines in Sicily and La Porta del Inferno, that was like a game changer for me. So now I'm all
Bravo, you're beautiful. What a passionate soul. Great artist, by the way. Also, just some amazing artists.
Yeah.
Wow. Gene, thank you again for taking me to Scranton, letting me come there and present my film.
There was such a buzz the next day. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, where are we going to get this DVD? We have to have him come back. We have to talk more about this. So everybody was talking about it. So.
Oh, it's all of us together. We're going to try to make a difference. Carlo, hello, my friend. Fantastic for you. How are you? Nice to meet you, sir. Sorry it took so long to get you in here. Tell us a little bit about your handsome self.
No problem. Yes. Hi, I'm Carlo Treviso, author of the novel Siciliana. I was actually born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Wow.
My dad's family came from Porticello, Sicily back in the 70s. Sure. So they immigrated to Milwaukee. That's where I was born. I'm from a family of carpenters and shipwrights. So my Nanu built boats for a living.
Wow. That's great. That's great. That's fantastic. So tell, how many times have you been to Sicily?
Actually, I've only been once. About 10 years ago. Yeah, my first time was on a tour.
Wait, so, Francesco, what do you say about that? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Tell him, Francesco. How do you feel about that? Go on. I can't hear you, Francesca. You muted
Flavia,
yourself.
Sant'Elia. These are beautiful places. You need to stay here longer. We can go to have a nice lunch together and fish lunch. The best hot ever is in Sant'Elia e Porticello.
Wow, you see that, Carlo? He knows everything.
That's amazing.
He's a tour guide. He also does genealogy. Gene, he's a genealogist. He knows everything.
Absolutely.
He's an amazing guy.
007. He's the 007 of genealogy. That's who he is.
I want to ask Manny and Francesca. I think Manny, you explained the story about your father to me. I don't want how tough of a man he was, and the kind of work that he did. Can you give me a little bit of a story about your pop?
You want to say? Yeah. So my dad was born in Sicily, obviously during World War II, and he grew up in Gela, which was the key entry point of Operation Husky. So it was a major battle there with where Patton and the U.S. Allied invaded southern Italy, and from there he then immigrated as a young man over to America in his 20s, and
wow,
and yep.
Wow. Tell me that story about your father, though. You were in a tough neighborhood growing up. I want to hear that story a little bit. Francesca, tell me that story.
Well, yes, we grew up in Oakland, California. Very rough neighborhood. And my father didn't drive, so he would catch the bus. He worked in San Francisco at an Italian restaurant. And yeah, because that way everyone that worked there was Italian, so he didn't have to learn the language. So my father never really had a grasp of the English language, not a good one.
Right.
And so he would come home at night and walk from the bus stop home. And one night there was a bunch of commotion, and it was past my bedtime, but I ran out in the kitchen to see what was going on. And apparently he had been jumped by two guys that were trying to rob him.
Wow.
And they had a knife, and his leather jacket got cut up, but they didn't get anything from him. He had them running.
Wow. Typical Sicilian man, right?
Oh yeah.
So guys, I'm going to ask this question to everybody. I think it's interesting. So do you still think there's a bias between the North and the South as far as the way the people look at Northern Italy and all the South and also Sicily Island? We could start with Gene, and we'll work our way around to Jerry and to Francesca. Gene first.
Well, my experience has been growing up with mostly Southern Italian people, so I didn't really come across the difference between the North and the South so much. Just looking at genealogy today, though, it's interesting how even on the passenger list, you were either the North or the South. So decisions were made the second you stepped off the boat.
Yes.
And just all the reading that I've been doing now, I see it, but I never experienced that because I was surrounded by Southern Italians.
Right. Okay.
From all areas, but on Sicily and the mainland too.
Okay, Jerry.
I just have a funny story about that. I was at a feast here in the South Shore of Boston recently, and Hull has mostly Calabrians.
Hull.
In where I live here, south of Boston, and at this feast, there's one whole side where all the Calabrians would go, and I joke with one of the younger guys who's about 25, and this is what they're taught. They were taught literally. This is a 25-year-old kid told me this. They were taught that their ancestors struck down and defeated the Sicilians from the hills of Calabria. And I said, this is not true, right? Because they're peasants and they're worthless and all this kind of stuff. So I think it's still there to a certain extent, but you see some the Netflix show recently done from scratch showed a little bit of that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Francesco, you as somebody who's doing the tours and all that stuff, do you see any kind of bias towards North and the South, or what people say, or when people come? Is there a different perspective when somebody comes to Sicily and an expectation of something that could be,
But In my opinion, sincere, I like to say that we feel Sicilian before feel Italian because, you know, Sicily in the past had so many domination, Arab, Greek, Byzantine. So we have their own culture, their own dialect. So for us, it's like really the flag of Sicily is more important sometimes than the flag of Italy.
Right.
So
Right.
yes, when people come to the Chester town here in Sicily, they are so happy because they start to see the story of the grandmother of the grandmother used to tell. Because I like to say that sometimes people ask me why my family lives Sicily. It's so
Right.
beautiful here. You have
Right.
everything. You have the sun, you have the beach, you have good food. Why? Because in the past, people were very, very poor. So they had to
Right.
say no at the family and it was on hello forever because they go in another states and they don't have any technology. Now we have
Right.
everything. We have chat, we have this Zoom chat. In the past, they send a letter and maybe the letter never arrived.
Right.
And
Right.
that's I like to help these people because they really want to reconnect the past with the present of the story of the family. I like to
Okay.
say that they are very, very proud of this situation
Yeah.
because if they today are able to do the trip in the reverse way, it's thanks to the strong work of these people. Went
Yeah.
to USA for try to give them better life at the future generation. Now, go to USA is beautiful, but in the past, people go to USA for work,
Right.
for do
Right.
yes, they have a
Right.
tough life. So
Right.
this making me enjoy my job because when people live here, they want to invest, they want to buy property. They say that it's time for me to give something back to my motherland.
Absolutely. I agree. I that's why I do all the work that I'm doing. Manny and Francesca, I want to ask this question. How do you feel about the stereotypes in about Italians in cinema, in movies and TV?
Well, it's unfortunate. I believe, you know, the mafia has been overplayed, and it's more so. I think they put that onto Sicily and Sicilians than people from northern Italy, and some of that may have went on, but it wasn't the whole. Your whole life didn't revolve. Not everybody's life was touched by it, you know. So why? I mean, it sells though. It sells, and that's why Hollywood does it. What it doesn't show is the tremendous pride and the tremendous family connections and how, you know, open and accepting Sicilians are of everyone.
Yeah.
Where I would say I didn't really feel as open and accepted in northern Italy as I do when I'm in Sicily.
Right. Manny?
Yeah, you know how it goes. The Sicilian side of Italy never gets the focus of art, culture, and all the beautiful things. They seem to get the negativity, but we're all working hard to change that perception, right? And I think it's working. I think it's turning around in Sicily, and you're starting to see a little more tourism going down there. And I think this is the start of a renaissance. At least we've noticed when in Gela, there's a lot of rehabilitation to the old buildings and a lot of new stuff going on. So it's warms our heart to see Gela turning around and yeah, we will be returning at some point also.
Yeah. Carlo, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, growing up, so I'm first generation born here in America. And even growing up, when I would tell people about my Sicilian heritage, one of the first things I would hear usually is some nod to like The Godfather or like, hey, Don Carlo. Hey, it's like that was kind of always the first touch point that people associated with Sicily. So I still think, I mean, maybe it's changing now, but I still think it's the mafia, still kind of prevalent in people's minds.
It's funny. I've been traveling around the country, with my films, and you know, I was an actor for a long time in Hollywood, and I left because I just didn't want to deal with the way that they depicted our culture generally. Just, it was always the mafia, it was always the thug, it was always the not intelligent person. And but I have to say this, I think part of it's our fault, not us personally, but our culture's fault. I think somewhere along the line, we dropped the ball. We allowed this to happen. We perpetuated bad movies, bad stereotypes. I think we didn't pay enough. We didn't, what's the word I want to use? We didn't take care of our culture the way we should have. You know, we should have did things to really, really usher in certain things. And I feel like now that's why we're all trying to come together to try to reimagine and restate this is who we are. You know, from the books, from your beautiful book to the Gene's art, from Manny's work, Jerry, all of us, Francesco, all of us try, Bob, we're trying to bring back the real positive portrayal of who we are, and some of the human stories. And there's so many I've come across in my travels in Sicily, countless amount of heroes that I've talked to personally, men that I wish that I could be half like. When I look at some of the people that I've interviewed and spent time with, I feel very, very blessed and fortunate. And in America, sometimes I don't think we recognize that. I think we're a little bit out of touch. I don't know how anybody else feels about that, but that's how I feel. Bob?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, you know, especially when we were there in Sicily, it was, like Francesco said, it was so beautiful. I mean, you drive around the island, and you look to the right and there's the sea, and you look to the left and there's the mountains. You know, every place that we went was just so great. But I want to go back to Carlo for a second, because he wrote a historical novel about Sicily and the uprising against the French, which I found absolutely fascinating, because there were things in there about Sicily that I had no idea about. And for people who want to get a sense of what it was like in Sicily, you know, 800 years ago, read Siciliano, right?
Carlo, give us a little insight into that.
Well, the novel Siciliana is based on an event called the Sicilian Vespers Uprising. It took place in the year 1282, when the Sicilian people actually rose up against the French occupation that essentially dominated the island at that time. And allegedly, you know, it was started by a young woman who pulled out her blade and stabbed a French soldier, crying death to the French. And that sparked the broader rebellion. There are conflicting accounts of how this happened, but I chose to focus on the young woman's story just because that had the most drama, in my opinion. But again, like back to the idea of changing stereotypes, I feel like it all does start with history, understanding our history, understanding the various conquerors that kind of, you know, took over Sicily over time, from the Normans to the Arabs to the Romans. There are so many eras in Sicily that go beyond just the mafia, right? So I think as people start to study the history, you can start finding those examples of heroism and courage and Sicilian heart, which I focused on in my book.
Right. So it was true. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The more you delve into it, the more you read about it, the more people you meet, the more stories you hear. So congratulations on that beautiful book. Everybody should buy the book. Carlo, say it again.
Siciliana, a novel.
Yeah, from a woman hero. About time.
Right.
Yeah. Let me tell you, you know, not because Carlo's on the call, but you feel like you're there.
So, Michael, about the mafia situation. So, my last name is Curione. So when I introduce myself in USA, people say Mr. Corleone.
Of course.
It's just a little bit funny, but sad in the same time, because it's the stereotype of the mafia.
Right.
But I like to say that now in Sicily is different. The mafia still exists. It's a problem. But it's not anymore the old man with the hat, the gun on the back. Now the mafia is the corruption, it's the politics, and it's more hard to find.
Right.
We have a lot of people who fight give a new perspective here in Sicily.
Yes.
Just if you remember, every time you land in Sicily, the name of the airport is Falcone Borsellino. These two judges, born in Palermo, and they used to play with the big future mafia boss, Tommaso Buscetta, Totorrina, Salvatore Provenzano. But they take a different way. They study law, they give the life for this land, and now in the school, the kids study the story and they know they are heroes.
Right.
They never died because they continue to live now. So let's remove the stereotype of the mafia. Okay, it's the movie father.
But I think that's the problem. It's not even Sicily; it's American, because the Americans are so get caught up in stereotypes, and we make movies about that. And I think they're the ones that are perpetuating it. Not Sicily's American mindset, and the commercial of films is perpetuating the mafia, the Godfather, Corleone. You know, as I always say this, the Godfather was the greatest movie of all time, probably. But everything else that they try to make like it is horrible and becomes stereotypical. But people start to keep making things like this, and they start to believe that this is who we are. So it's really the issue of the filmmakers and the people who, it's like an Italian actor, you know, you don't have to do this part. You don't have to do it. You have to make a choice, you know. Do I want to perpetuate this terrible stereotype, or do I want to stand with dignity with my culture? So, you know.
I think one of the keys to that is people doing their own genealogy, and they learn about the history of what was happening at the time and why they made the decisions that they made. And like just that alone has just opened my eyes to what being a Sicilian is really about. I mean, I was, once I got over, you know, the whole Black Hand being in my town and all the stories that I used to hear, then I started to focus on the individual families and what they went through, and the women who lost the children one after another, and they gathered everything they could to come here. I keep going back to the movie The Golden Door, which is just like the Sicilian family coming and coming across the ocean, and what they gave up, which was really absolutely nothing, because they had nothing, but they just had such hope. And I think people start to look at their own family, their own genealogy, and do that research. They're like, oh, well, we're more than food and the mafia.
Sure. Absolutely. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. Anybody else there on that?
Well, I don't want to call out Mario Puzo, a fellow author. But, you know, oh, sorry, can you hear me? Getting some feedback.
Go ahead.
So I think The Godfather as a story was well-intentioned, right? Like it was very sincerely told. Mario Puzo obviously is a brilliant author, but I think it just goes to show you what the power of entertainment. You know, it was a good book. It was a good movie, but it focused on a very, very small slice of Sicilian history, right? And that became a powerhouse of popular culture, and that's what people gravitate towards. So it goes back to the idea that we need to keep telling our stories, getting them out there in new ways, and hopefully we can shift that popular culture mindset to a different kind of lens.
Absolutely. Education, you know, education is an important thing. Go ahead.
Manny and Francesca, I think you guys wanted to jump in.
I just wanted to say that I actually just read that book, Siciliana, like about a month ago. And it was very interesting. I really liked it. And it was very interesting to know that it was based on an actual event that happened. The Vespers of Palermo. It was, you know, I went and did some research about that afterwards. So, it was, you know, I knew that, you know, they were very poor in Sicily. I mean, my family wasn't rich by any means. And also with Michael's film, La Porta dell'Inferno, the quote that he had in the beginning from Booker T. Washington, I did a deep dive after watching the film to find out what the condition of the people were in Sicily in the early 1900s when Booker T. Washington went to go visit. And he wrote 5 chapters in his book about it. And so I did a deep dive after that. And, you know, it's what you were saying about education is important, but in a way, it kind of it's putting people in a situation in Sicily right now where we have all these young adults that are going to universities and getting educated and then coming back to Sicily and not being able to find a job.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
people are going away from their traditions of like, we were, you know, we grew fruit and we sold fruit. We were fruit vendors. You know, no one wants to do that manual labor anymore. I mean, they still do it. You still see it. You can still buy your fruit from the lapa that comes down the street announcing with a speaker, you know, in Gela, they still do it. So you can still buy all your fruit and everything like that. But now that the younger generation is more educated, it's going to go away. Because people are not going to keep that up once they're educated. Like my father only had a 3rd grade education because at that time in Sicily, you had to get started working like when you were young to try to help the family. And so my father wasn't a big guy either. And I remember he eventually was a barber out there, but at first he was making bricks. Wow. And everybody was telling my grandmother and grandfather, you got to get him out of there because he's not built for that. He's not built for that type of manual labor. He actually eventually became a barber, and there's still in Gela, there's still barbers that are still working there that remember my father that actually worked with him when he was learning. He only, like I said, he only had a 3rd grade education, but he was one of the smartest people I ever knew. I don't know what they were teaching them in the 3rd grade in Sicily, but it was not what we learned here in America. So
absolutely, Jerry, darken the bowels back there in Boston. I can see you barely, but tell me something.
You know, I think you make a lot of great points about the Godfather. It's funny, I remember being 16 years old watching that movie and hearing the Sicilian language, and it just clicked that's my family. Wait a minute. Yeah. I understand every single, you know, intently. But the other point I wanted to make was I think The Sopranos more recently has had such an impact. I mean, a lot of people call that the greatest TV show ever made. So, you know, that's had a tremendous impact as well, just to really, you know, carry it along to more, you know, deeper depths. So,
you know, the thing about it's funny because, you know, being an actor in this crazy industry, and I would go out for auditions. You know, I have a college degree. I have actually 2 degrees, and you know, every part was, you know, this or that. I'm like, you know, my agent used to get mad at me. Why do you want? I said, I don't want to do that. Well, you got to work. I said, not like that. So I would go off and do some really beautiful films, and it didn't have to be Italian films. It could be any, but they were family films about a story. And, you know, if you have a family, it doesn't matter if you're Sicilian, this, and that. It's a family story. So what I'm trying to say is there's so many other things to do and to talk about with our culture. There's so many beautiful artists and sculptors and musicians and family stories and personal stories that could be told. And I think this is the things that we have to push ourselves to do. And Carlo writes a book. Gene does a beautiful sculpture. Manny runs the great, you know, San Francisco Italian American Club. Jerry learns about his father being a Carusi, a grandpa. You know, it's like this is what we're meant to do. And if it's not us, if we don't do this, it goes away. So what I've done, and it's been really, really inspiring to me, is that I've met a lot of young kids all over Sicily, all over America. And to me, it's really not about, even if it's not about Sicily, it's about your own, whatever your family's from, whatever that is. But you need to learn, you need to know who you are. And I think what I would like to emphasize to people out there, if you are Sicilian or if you're Italian or if you're something else, like Gene said earlier, you got to find out who you are, where your family comes from, what they went through to get here. It's an important thing because it really informs you and it changes your life in a lot of ways. When I went to Sicily, I had just lost my mother, my father, and my sister. I was very, very lost. And I was very close to my grandfather, extremely close, like you all are, I'm sure, or were. And I was looking for, I was looking to get back in touch with myself. And the only way I could understand how to do that was to try to talk to my grandfather, who wasn't alive. So when I went back to Sicily for the first time and I saw the sign of Limina, which is Francesco, that's that sign up there behind me, I broke down in tears.
So that's a segue into something I wanted to ask Francesco because I think it's important, especially with the work that he does. So Francesco, we know how we feel when we come to Sicily or we come to Italy and we go to the hometown. What do the two questions, almost the same question. How do the Sicilian people feel when we visit? And what's your experience with the Americans when they visit?
Oh my God, we love it. We love it for so many reasons. Because first of all, each one of us have some member of family who emigrated to the USA. My family, for example, is in Long Island, in New York. So we have cousin, uncle. So when Americans arrive in town, we are super happy to welcome these people. Also, remember that American soldier in the Second World War helped the Italians to building the democracy. So they give the freedom. We were during the fascist time, arrived this young soldier entering this town. My grandmother still remember this young soldier who gave chocolate to the locals. So when now arrives somebody in town, we are super happy to welcome. Just yesterday, I organized a tour for one client who came from Caltavuturo, a little town in the middle of nowhere in Sicily. But when this client arrived, she was welcome.
We lost Francesco.
Yeah, he froze.
He's frozen. Francesco, you sure you got it? You got it. You okay? You got internet there? You sure? Go ahead.
You froze for a second, Francesco. Yeah, we're good now.
Francesco, go again. A couple of sentences back because you froze. I don't know if you're swimming to the internet section or what's going on over there. Give me. Go back a few sentences.
Okay.
Again.
I don't know what I say. Just yesterday, a client to visit Manchester town called Caltavuturo. It's a small town in the middle of nowhere here in Sicily. But when the client arrived, she was welcome like she was Marilyn Monroe. The mayor literally stopped the work in the office for talk with me on the street. We went to knock to the door of some family member for try to connect the woman with some family. And we did.
Wow.
We did 1 minute. She came from Palermo with the driver. The driver said, "Oh, you can stay only 2 hours." In the end, she stayed 6 hours.
Wow.
Because we really was invited inside the house almost to have lunch. Because
right.
You are
That's
really
beautiful.
like a stranger and like magic, you are sitting and you enjoy pasta with the locals.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
and I was lucky because I was there with my Sicilian wife, so I got treated.
You're very lucky, Bob. You're part Sicilian. You're very lucky. I wouldn't be doing this podcast with you. But honestly, just to get back, because Bob cut me off. I don't know why he did that. I was very emotional at that moment. But no, just
you were gonna cry. You know, I
can't. Gene knows me. I cry a lot. I can't help it. I'm Sicilian. But no, I just wanted to just say that for anyone who goes back or hasn't gone back yet, Gene, that the feeling you get when you lay your feet on the land of your grandparents or your ancestors will change your life forever. That's all I can tell you.
And not only the feeling, when you get off the plane and you're in Sicily, you can smell it in the air. It smells different.
Yeah. It's the greatest. It's the greatest.
Just to see the names of the people that I feel like I know now. doing all the research and attaching documents to people's profiles. I feel like I know them. I know their stories. They're like the basic stats of them. But to see their names, like even in a graveyard, just on the stone, to be able to touch that person's stone is just, I know it's powerful.
It's mind blowing. And, you know, it's like, I don't know for everybody else, but for me, it's like my whole life changed. Boom.
Yeah.
I just went crazy. I just couldn't take it anymore. So I just want to implore people out there who are listening to the show, go back to where your family's from, to Sicily, to Italy. Please find your roots. Call Francesco. Go back, because we need people to understand who we are. We need to have passionate people. You know, there's amazing people out there, and you need to know who you are. Bob, you have another question? Oh, what does that say?
What is your favorite Sicilian dish, Francesco? Do you remember mine, Francesco?
Say again.
Do you remember my favorite Sicilian dish? Arancini.
Arancini, of course.
Arancini. What kind? Regular cheese arancini, Bob, or just what kind? Peas, meat?
No, the peas and meat. That's my favorite.
And Jerry, what's yours?
So it's definitely, I consider arancini a side dish. So if we
Me
talk
too.
about
Me too.
Yeah, if you talk about a dish, I don't know. It's a tough one. You know, we had them all. My dad would regularly have a rabbit cook for himself and sit in the middle of the table. A rabbit.
With the little beady eyes staring at you, right?
Oh my God.
Oh,
rabbit.
Manny, what do you got? Who's your favorite?
Man, I have to go with panelle.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I would agree.
Wow.
Panelle mixed with the potato. Oh my God.
Wow, that's good.
You can't beat it, and you can't find it as good as over there out here.
You can have it in a sandwich, right?
Yeah, in the sandwich. Yeah,
in the sandwich.
The bread's still warm at the bakery. That's the third, fourth generation baker that we go to.
What did you say, Francesco?
Somebody was so brave to try the spleen sandwich, the panino con la milza.
Oh, spleen sandwich. We're in Palermo. Francesco, in Palermo, there's a street food, right? The street food is that tripe? Yeah. The guy has the white sack and he reaches in and he slaps it on the tripe.
Yeah, this is called the fritola. The fritola is something that
fried.
No one knows what it is. It's covered. He puts the hands
and your hand
and takes it
and puts it on a thing. Yeah. But I'm not sure that's anything, but it's probably brain and everything else in there too. What is in that? You sure?
I don't know exactly what it is, but
I can't trust those guys at Palermo to tell me what I'm eating.
This is food you like or you hate. There is no
exactly. Carlo, what about you?
Food. Like you said, if you go into the Palermo market, you can find everything you want, from the the panelle, and like Francesco said, the smell. That's the smell of Sicily. You really enjoy. You feel you are.
But 1 second, Carlo. What's the name of the market in Palermo, by the way?
Palermo, Ucciria, Capo, are the three famous ones.
Is that the Quattro Conto over there in that area?
Quattro Conti, yes, the four corner, yes, it's close.
Okay. Bravo. Carlo, what do you got?
I would 100% say Panelli as well. First time I had it, I remember I was a kid, don't remember what age, but we had them every year at Christmas Eve. But I had no idea they were chickpeas at that time. Right? They were just these golden, fried, beautiful creations that just blew my mind when I first had them as a child.
Wow.
And so I have a very personal connection to them. But if we're going to call them a side dish, because those are probably also considered side dishes.
I got to be honest.
I would say that my favorite dish would then be pasta with peas.
That's really good too. Is that original Siciliano though, Francesco? Pasta piselli?
Really.
I don't know.
Siciliano is pasta con le sarde.
Pasta con sarde, right? No, I don't know. Pasta piselli is Siciliano, no?
Sì, this is more Sicilian. Okay.
Pasta con sarde is beautiful. Yeah. Francesca, and you?
My favorite is patedra, frito, fried with onions. And it's in Italian. I didn't even know that that's not how you say it. In Italian, it's called tellini. and they are little tiny clams. And you get them fresh. People sell them on the street. They take a net and they drag the beach, in the water.
Sure.
They attach it to themselves, and I've eaten them raw right out of the sea. But they're not baby clams. They're a specific species of clam that's
They
small,
speak
very
Sicilian.
tiny.
They speak Sicilian. They speak
Oh yeah.
Gene, what about you?
Patenta.
Gene?
Anything involving bread.
All right. So, okay. What about Francesco? You know Tenerumi?
Yes, I know the Nerone.
Pasta Tenerumi. What about Cardone? What about Cardone?
Nerone is some kind of green. Like
Zucchini flour from the zucchini. My favorite pasta. Oh wow! I could when I was in Sicily because my grandfather used to have that. Also Carduna. You know Cardunes?
I Carduna, sì, Carduna fritte.
See, my grandfather used to go to the cemetery and pick them out of the cemeteries and he would bring them home. Exactly.
Everything from for sure we don't eat fettuccine alfredo. I never had in my life.
I don't understand. I don't even understand these people with the fettuccine. I don't get it. But anyway.
Michael, and what's about cookie for Christmas? Your family used to make cuccidati, something like that?
Oh, fish, pesce.
Okay.
Tutti pesci. All fish.
I have to ask Francesco, what's his favorite American food?
Pizza.
I love steak. I love prime rib with the big potatoes.
Prime rib.
It's a Sicilian cowboy.
Sicilian cowboy. You're from Argentina, Sicilian. What is that? By the way, Francesco, did you know that the sauce in America, the meat and pasta together in America is from Argentina, right? Did you know that? Derived from Argentina. Yeah. Sicilians who are Argentinian Sicilians came to America and they bring a lot of meat. So that's how that whole dish started.
Okay.
We should look that up. That's history.
I know you like cannoli, but me, I like the American breakfast with the French toast, the pound cake. I like peanut butter jelly.
Oh my God! So you're actually American, Francesco. You're American, for God's sake.
I am American to become Italian, but I am a little bit American.
You're from Scranton, Pennsylvania. What are we talking to you for? You're in Cefalù. I have a very dear friend of mine coming to from Piazza Armerina. He's coming with his kids the first time to America. He's a tour guide. He's in Piazza Armerina. He's one of the best tour guides in the country, and it's his first time to America. And it's funny because he doesn't, financially, he has no idea what this is about here because, you can rent an apartment in Piazza Armerina for $350 a month. So he comes here, so he's coming here like Disney tickets alone for 2 kids is like $1,200.
Oh, the poor guy.
I know.
And, he's got to rent a car and he's got to do this and he's got to do that. And I said, Rosario, you're going to have to sell your house in Sicily to come for a week. But anyway, I'm excited to show him and his children a little bit of the American way. A little breakfast, a little this, a little that, because they've never been here. So it's really exciting for me to repay the favor that he did for me, because when I went to Piazza Armerina with my film, this is what I'm talking about Sicilian people, how special they are. When I went and he gave me his house. He gave me his car. Oh, wow. Michael, you take whatever you want, be whatever you want, do. Gave me this, gave me that. He became like my brother, and he's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And I want. This is what it should be. We should return the favor that they give to us. We bring them back to us, and we return that favor. So, I think this is a great way to start a great touristic thing. Switching people over. We come to you, you come to us. And you give them the American way, and they give us the Sicilian way, right?
Absolutely.
True. I agree.
So, you want to go to cocktail hour in Beverly Hills? What the hell's going on here? Did you know, Francesco, in Sicily, in Los Angeles, there's the Drago brothers. Did you ever hear of the Drago brothers?
No.
So they're from Messina. They own 15 restaurants here in Los Angeles. 15 Sicilian restaurants. Very, very successful. Very, very successful people. My wife works at one of the restaurants. So they try the best they can to keep it Sicilian, but unfortunately, everything gets Americanized in some way or form because people don't understand how to deliver the food or they don't know how to cook the food a certain way. There's obviously not Sicilians in the kitchen, so it's a different mentality, but it's not as authentic, but they try, they try.
Cannot expect found the best Sicilian food USA. If you want the anguto cannolo, you need to come to Palermo. You can have
Exactly.
one yeah.
I'll tell you what the best cannoli I ever had in my life.
Where?
You're not gonna. It's not in Palermo.
Say it.
Degli Albanesi.
Where?
Piana degli Albanesi.
No, in Lipari.
In Lipari. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Pistachio. One of the greatest cannolis ever had. It was incredible. Have you been to Ireland Islands, Francesco?
Of course.
Anybody else? Anybody else here?
Lipari, Alicudi, Panarea, Stromboli. Stromboli is a crazy volcano.
It's incredible. I don't know if anybody else has been to the islands, but it's incredible. Francesca, Manny, no?
I've been to Sicily 17 times, and that's all I went to was Gela. No, I traveled
Francesca,
around
help
the
me out.
island.
Come on.
I traveled around the island to different cities, but never to the islands. And I do plan on doing it though.
Manny, will you please go to the islands for God's sakes?
Hey, we have plans to hit all of them, believe me. But we're going to definitely have to connect with Francesco when we go back because you're right by Cefalù. We went to Cefalù last year.
Wow, fantastic. Is it true, Francesco? Cinema Paradiso, did they shoot some of the scenes in Cefalù, no? The Cinema Paradiso. Yeah.
Beautiful movie.
Yeah. I did. One of my favorite films of all time.
Yep. We just watched the Lions of Sicily.
Very nice.
And we're watching, Francesco, we're watching, and I said, we see the port, and I said to my wife, I said, that's Cefalù. And she said, no, I don't think so. I said, no, that's Cefalù. I know.
Did you ever see the original with Burt Lancaster?
Visconti? No, that's a different one.
No, that's it's the original movie of that. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
By the way, both of the two movies talk about the story of the Nobles family in Sicily.
Yes.
And the Florio family was one of the most smart business people ever. Really, they start with the pharmacy, then became sulfur, then...
Florio was a Florio family, no?
So that's a true story. I didn't
the Florio family, right?
Yes, the Florio family. It's a true story. Very smart.
I didn't know that.
So in my film, the Florio, but they also did some bad things.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. So they were the ones that perpetuated the sulfur mines.
Yes.
They were the head, along with the padrones and people like that they were bringing in to run the sulfur mines. So just so we're on the right side of history, so we know they did some great things, but they also did some not so great things. I just want to say that.
When people have this kind of business and they have a big factory, they give job, but at the same time they use people.
Exactly. It's hard. It's unfortunate, but this is the world and it's happening today as well.
By the way, I have a nice story about the sulfur mine because this year, Michael, I helped one client to become Italian citizen in the Manchester town. That is Lercara Friddi. Guess what? He fired in the USA, in Florida.
Yeah.
The sulfur mine. This year, they reopened the sulfur mine just for 1 day, for give the possibility to see how was the life in the past. And the mayor give him the possibility to be the first one who can go inside the sulfur mine. So it was very emotional because the grandfather used to work, then he emigrated to stay, changed the life. He became a firefighter, and now he's going back to the same place where the grandfather used to work. I need to show you the photo. I need to show you the video.
Please send it to me.
Yeah, you will love. You can.
I would love that. Where is
fantastic.
what's sulfur mine, Francesca?
L'Ercara Free.
Oh, in Pelham. Okay, yeah, okay.
Sì.
Yeah, because they're everywhere. They're everywhere. All the carafritti, they're all over the Sicily. Yeah.
Me too. I've been inside. I went down.
Me too.
It was awful.
Yes.
Awful experience. They are in a strange position, and they used to send the kids for work because they are little, so they can fit better. When you arrive down, there is some sort of strong smell. Plus, it's awful. It's like an air.
Yeah. It's a terrible and family here that we have, people, Gene and Jerry, and the families that have been affected by this. It's a eye-opening experience to hear and to learn about what these young Carusi and men and boys had to deal with, endure. My film depicts that in a very, very, very deep way, and those men and the families that have suffered that have been incredible. I went down into the sulfur mines myself. To think that somebody goes down 2,000 feet into the earth with no food, naked, at 10 years old, 12 years old, carrying up 80 pounds of sulfur on their backs. If anybody wants to learn a little bit about that, they can write to me on my Facebook page, Messenger, about my film La Porta dell'Inferno. We've been showing it around the world, but it still goes on today. And people are still working in these terrible conditions. So it never stopped. We need to learn. This is a socioeconomic lesson, because not only it stopped in Sicily, just moved to another country. Wherever there's poverty, things like this happen. So the message is still fresh in the world. We have to keep giving the education to the world, and we got to help these people, please, whatever we can do. But anyway,
do you have any clips of that person visiting the mine in La Carifrida?
Yes.
Can you post that?
And more important, I take a video of the last old man alive in town, who was the last kids who used to work, and people ask a question to him like they want to know, and he said, "This is for me today. We are reopening this sulfur mine, but for me this was the most bad moment of my life. Every night I up and I remember what I had to do, and I had to, because my family was big. We were 7 kids, and we need to support the family. I lost one brother in this sulfur mine. Incredible. There are no way for describe what I see, and thanks God I record so I can share to you, Mike, this video, and you will have a better idea.
Matter of fact, I want to come there myself when I come to Sicily. You and I will go there, and we'll bring it. I want to bring my film to those people. I think I would like to show my film there.
They reopened the sulfur mine for an example for the next generation.
Yes.
You are lucky. Your family in the past had to do this for support you. So think before do wrong stuff in your life.
Absolutely. Good for you. Good for you. Exactly. This is what we're all trying to do here. Bob, we have any other questions?
Just that one from Rich. Do you think they're going to build that bridge across the straits?
Rich, I don't know. Rich, I don't think it's a good idea. Francesca, you think they're going to from Messina, from Calabria? I don't think so.
I like to say that Sicily is an island. So
me too.
Arrive with the boats, but
or swim. No.
Swim. It's more political. I don't think they never will make this bridge.
Yeah, I agree.
Is there a tectonic plate that runs down the middle? So I think that would be like a scientific problem, wouldn't it? Because that tectonic, I believe there's a tectonic plate that runs right down the strait, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken.
Yeah, it's a big mechanical problem. Trust me, we don't want.
The Messina province.
Yeah.
Is very close. The land shake all the time. So it's not really a good idea to building a big bridge close to a volcano. Plus, will cost tons of money that they can invest for fix the Sicilian road that are very, very bad condition. We don't have very good public transportation. So let's see.
I hope that they don't. But anyway,
Hey, that ferry runs pretty well, man. You can bring your car; it doesn't even matter. Easy.
exactly. That's what I say. That's what I say. Keep it the way it is. It's good the way it is. We have anything, Bob? Any more questions that we had to ask everybody?
No, Michael, I just want to put up a little banner there for people who are watching who, if they want to contact Francesco about genealogy or Italian citizenship in Sicily. Francesco is just he's one of my best friends. I love you. He's a great guy.
Bob, you don't say that to me, you son of a gun, and I work with you all the time. Jesus Christ. No,
you're not as nice as Francesco.
You don't give arancini. I give you 2
arancini. You don't feed me.
Exactly.
I spelled it wrong, but it's Siciliana, right? Right, Carlo?
Siciliana, right.
Siciliana. Yep. It's a fantastic book. You will feel like you're in Sicily in 1280. It's that good.
Congratulations, Carlo.
Next on my list.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
For people who want to, Michael's got 2 films out there. La Porta dell'Inferno is the one about the sulfur mines, it was super. And then he also has, what's the name of the Limino one, Michael? I forget.
I have no idea.
It's on the board. I just heard around.
Stuck behind me up there. I don't know. Everybody knows it. Ritornato.
So, well, this has been fantastic, guys. Great stuff. And I think the 2 most important things that to take away for people is if you have not been to your hometown in Italy, you have to go. It is an experience that you'll never forget. And the other one I think to remember is we've given so much to this country in terms of education and art and literature and everything else that we shouldn't forget that.
Yeah. Anybody else want to anybody else want to say anything before we close off? Benfanti.
Just excited to be here, and I'm going to get to Sicily. I swear, I'm getting.
What, Gene? Where do we find your beautiful art? Gene did a beautiful.
Right.
Of sulfur miners, beautiful thing. Where can we find you, Gene?
The images just came, and I think it was in my DNA, and then I realized that it was about the sulfur mines. Like, how did that happen? I don't know. Just my first name, last name.com. GeneBenfanti.com.
GeneBenfanti.com.
Yeah.
Jerry, how can we? Who wants to get in touch with you? Who cares? But go ahead, Jerry. Anything?
No, I don't think anyone's gonna want to get in touch with me. That's okay, but. I thank you very much for including me in on this to kind of validate what Gene was saying earlier. I learned that my grandfather got a free pass to not have to fight in the Italian War, and instead he had to go to the Belgian coal mines.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
Very interesting because he was
an
only child.
I got to be honest, guys. Jerry was the first person who contacted me when my film was running around. He was one of the first person that knew exactly what I was doing. So Jerry, hats off to you, my brother, for loving your family and for the respect you have for your family.
Beautiful movie. And in summary, the what I loved about that movie most, and I know you don't see a lot of clips out there at the moment, is the actual people that were working in the mines come back as old men, and they're interviewed in detail, some really intricate detail, and I just found that fascinating.
Thank you, Jerry. Manny and Francesca, anything else?
Yeah, thank you all for inviting us to this. And everyone there has an open invitation to come to San Francisco. Let me know if you're coming out my way. You can learn more about what we're doing to keep Little Italy North Beach vibrant and alive. We have one of the most vibrant Little Italies in the United States, and a lot of people don't know about it. But you can look us up at sfiac.org if you want to see what we're doing here in San Francisco. And please reach out to me if you guys are coming out.
And what about the pizzeria? I was trying to get into the pizzeria, man. We had to wait on a 3-hour line. What's going on? Next time I want to be on the front of the line.
Let me know. We're going to be in the front for sure.
All right, Vet. You're the best. You're the best. Thank you so much. And I can vouch for San Francisco because Manny and Francesca do an amazing job up there. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
And anybody else? Sorrentino, we don't need to say anything. You can just
you don't need to say anything about it. Everybody knows me. Don't go away. I'm gonna stop the stream.
Yeah, I like to say to my